interact with you all with regard to the various issues and concerns and queries that you have with regards to the course on gender justice and workplace security. Different people have come up with different queries, some of them which I have before me. And uh, I will try to address some of the questions which have been raised by the people. Okay, so first question that I have before me is there a particular act or section for sexual harassment through cyberbullying? Now, per se, with regard to sexual harassment, we know that there is an act and there is also a specific criminal law provision in the Indian Penal Code, which penalizes the act of sexual or the crime of sexual harassment. Cyberbullying as such, as of now, there is no such express provision, and therefore it can be read indirectly, maybe through the different provisions of the penal code, read with the IT Act, though the Information Technology Act does not have a specific provision with regard to cyberbullying. But one thing is, if we can read it within the definition of sexual harassment, the act can very well be taken care of by Section 354A IPC. And if it is at an institutional level, then it can be the Sexual Harassment Act of 2013, under which the issue may be taken care of. The next question is, what are the reasons why gender issues is still escalating? There are some similar concerns which have been raised on this point. This is one question which is there, and then the same person has given, why is gender discrimination still in the system and what can be done to curb it? Now, see, the reason why gender discrimination, why the differentiation between the genders is still existent, is deeply rooted in the historical, social, political, the structure and make of a particular nation. So it's very difficult to pinpoint any particular reason which may be the reason as to why it is still existent. But if you see present times, it seems with the number of cases, offenses which are being perpetrated against women specifically, if I speak of, because hello, I hope everybody can hear me. So I got disconnected in between. So there are a lot of reasons why probably it is on a rise, because the inherent gender bias is so deeply rooted in the psyche of Indian society, maybe through the entire historical process that we have come through. It is always somewhere that women have come to take a secondary position in society, and that has gone into every field of activity, every realm of, or every sphere of life. So to expect that the law at one brush or the system at one go can wipe away this this gender divide which is there, which is reality in Indian scenario, and not only I would say India, but across the globe. The divide which has been created is so inherent, in the very culture, the norms, the values, the beliefs that is held by the people. There in itself, that the seeds are sown. So therefore, it requires a great focus on the part of probably the society to systematically eliminate those values, those norms, those cultural beliefs which are inherent in the mindset of individual, the prejudice which has gone deep into the social system. The need is to systematically address them, create awareness, create the necessary understanding amongst the people, amongst the society, that this gender differentiation, this gender divide does not have any real basis. And unless we are able to do that, and that's not really the singular work of the legal system as such, or I would say even the singular role of the government, but definitely the government and the state has a very prominent role to play in this entire endeavor. But it is of every individual. So a child from the very beginning of life must be made to understand that there are no such differences. And unless we are able to really generate that understanding from the very basis of childhood, as the child is growing up in school, amongst peer groups, amongst friends and relatives. So throughout the process, unless the a person is made to understand, is made to comprehend that there is no basis for these biases which are there, the prejudices which are existent, till then I would say the existence of these gender differentiation, this discrimination would be existing in society. Howsoever there are only sporadic efforts which are made from time to time, or concerns which are raised in the backdrop of specific issues, when we say this is not how it is to be done. As presently you must be observing the news which is going on with regard to the Hathras rape victim, and the pain and agony that she faced, even in death, the treatment that she received. There is a whole lot of, it's not a simple answer that you can have, or a simple statement that you can make in the entire situation, but it has a impact on the entire way of how things are in society, how people look at certain incidences in society, how women come to bear the brunt of misplaced values, customs, traditions which are there. And that only finds, I would say, expression in the way that the women are treated by the society and the state. So therefore, to give you one direct answer would not be possible, but you can probably locate the answer in the various the spheres of life, in the development of a notion, the various cultural, social, historical aspects which are there. Just a brief reference, I have said that in the course that since historical times, if you just look into India, the invasion of the country that took place, so we had foreign invaders coming into the country, and probably from that time, some historians believe the gradual deterioration of the, or subordination of the woman took a prominent as became one of the prominent things there. Some are of the view that it is probably to save the women folk from the coming into the hands of the plunderers, was one of the reasons why parda system and many other social evils came into being, which may not be universally accepted by all. But this is how the cultural, the historical evolution of the nation, how it has come to develop over a period of time, that has an impact on what we are today, what we think today, what are the values we hold today, how we view the women folk of the country. That is something which has an impact definitely on the entire scheme of things. Okay, the next question which is there is, Professor, I do not understand the difference between gender and justice. Now, as such, gender and justice are two different terms, which has been explained in the course. We have taken it as, gender justice. In a sense, when we are speaking of justice, we are referring to, fairness, we are referring to justness, and how, in a sense, justice is given to the other gender, that is women, because our the course is specifically focused with regard to women and women in the workplace. So when we are referring to gender justice, a term which has also been used by the United Nations, etc., that how can we achieve, you are speaking of equality, you are speaking in terms of liberty, you are speaking in terms of freedom. How can those freedoms, be the liberties, the notion of equality, be made true when it comes to women? Because they are they are a half or a part, integral part of a particular nation, and they are integral to the growth and development of a nation. So is it, is it fair in the entire scheme of things that if it comes to a decision making process, if it comes to the let us say the legislative process, even if it is at the level of the family, that they are kept out of the entire system, and you think that thereby you can achieve you can achieve uh, the uh, the development, the growth that you are thinking of. Even at the level of the family, it is very important that the mother, the wife, the sister, they are made a key part of the decision making process. Just to share with you, one of the study, an empirical study which I had done with regard to violence against women. We found that even with regard to such intimate decisions as how many children the couple will have, and what would be the spacing of the children, even such integral decisions are taken by the elders of the family, so where the woman or the wife does not even have a say. So therefore, that you can understand, that the by virtue of her gender, she being a woman, and by virtue of the gendered perspective, role, the specific role which is attributed to her, whereby she is not even considered for important, for being consulted or for being asked as to what the woman will want. So that is why gender justice, is key to achieving the equality, the liberty, the freedom which is being spoken of. So whether at the level of the government or at the level of the different aspects of society, down to the family, at every stage it is important that the woman is made an integral part of the system. So that is essentially what we have tried to understand by the coining the term gender justice, that how can we achieve justice. So even though we are speaking of a woman, which is the other, the second gender that we are speaking of in the in the binary scheme, so and gender which has a sort of a society constructed role which has been assigned to her. But how can we, for that group of people, how can justice be achieved? So it can be through the legal process, because the course has largely a basis on law, the legal international developments, etc. So how the legal system can really help to achieve the that justice, which is very important, not only for the society, but for the entire development of a nation, that is something integral. So I hope you will be able to appreciate the coinage of the term gender justice. And in the course also, I have tried to explain what are the key principles which the United Nations have focused on when it speaks in terms of gender justice, and how the same has to be achieved. Okay, so that is one. Uh, the next one is, I want to hear her insights about gender directly. As such, see, it is not a course on gender and sexuality per se, but it essentially is trying to address the gender specific attributes, and how law tries to ensure justice to the women by virtue of the position that the person is in. Now, in this connect, I don't know whether it has a connection with that as well. There are some of the previous queries which had been raised is with regard to transgenders, third genders, or other sexual identities which are there. That is very much a reality of the society, and the fact that the course essentially speaks in binary terms of men and women does not disregard the various other gender sexual identities that are existent in society. But this is to have a very preliminary understanding of, if we are to divide it as men and women, then how is it that we view these two genders? The sex and gender is, there is a identical way that in terms of sex, that the gender roles are assigned. So if it is a man, there are specific attributes that the society confers on that person. And if it is a girl or a woman, then there are a different set of attributes which are emphasized upon. And there is a sort of a stereotyping done in the way the society sort of views the entire these two sections or these two groups. And that is where we try to find out in the course of this particular course, that by way of propagating a particular value, a particular attribute, a particular set of roles to each of them, there is an inherent sort of inequality which is perpetrated in the process. And that is where probably the wrong is done when we speak of women as the second gender. So that is essentially how the specific course has tried to therefore give a basic understanding. This the views or the ideas that we have, though, oh, he's a man, oh, he's a boy, so he can do this, oh, she's a girl, so preferably she should not be involved in this. This basic idea, where it comes from. So that is basically how the society has made us to understand and appreciate the differences which has nothing to do with reality, which has nothing to do with science. So it is not backed by any any particular reality or any particular understanding, but has originated over a period of time. And through that there is a constant perpetration of that inequality, which has continued over a period of time, and which somewhere has made women to suffer in the process of development, because whether in terms of education, or in terms of taking up a career, or in terms of participating in different spheres of life, these gender roles which has been assigned, that has seriously affected the progress of women. and obviously in a different way the world as a whole. So that is how, we have tried to understand the gender biases which are there. Where is those, how those gender biases, what are the factors which have a, prominent role in that. And also I would like to add here that with regard to the other genders, basically because, law also finds it till now, only just a year back or 2 years back, we had the decision of the Supreme Court where the other gender, their rights to an extent were recognized by the apex court of the country for the first time, for that matter. Even section 377 in terms of criminalizing unnatural acts, in a different way, which was targeted towards gays, bisexuals, lesbians, etc. That was also done away with. The comfort zone that law was in dividing it as between man and women, and these two genders only, that from that it is gradually moving ahead. But till now, the law as it stands is still limited to these men and women. So therefore, I am well aware of the fact that there are the other genders, their concerns are equally serious. The challenges, I would say, are even more because probably till date they were not even regarded as being existent in society, or regarded with a complete different view of not natural, or needs to be treated, or in a different perspective altogether. So therefore they are also they are definitely to face even severe challenges when it comes to coming into the social sphere, being accepted into the entire state and society as a whole. And therefore, the challenges, some of them are common probably, and some of them are very different. And if they are, it's necessary that their concerns are also to be taken by the law, so that they have a sort of a dignified life, and their freedoms and equality, etc., that we are speaking of in terms of the other group, is also accorded to them. So that is what is here. And then the uh, next question is, do sexual harassment also affect males? Okay, so I think it would. It's the natural answer is yes, and there is nothing to believe that there is no sexual harassment against men for that purpose, man or woman. It's irrespective of the situation. It's a behavior on the other part who is, who is dominant in the entire power structure, and therefore if it may be a woman who uh, takes advantages, or tries to exploit a particular situation, and therefore preys on its young male employees who are there. So man is also equally, there is a great possibility also for males to be subject to sexual harassment. However, world over, what has been seen, because one of the premises from where things started is, the workforce, if it is seen, is largely male dominated, right, world over. So any sector that we see, probably from the time when it was developing, so it can be medical sector, education sector, engineering sector, aviation sector, defense sector, and so on and so forth. You find that the larger workforce is essentially comprising of males and men, for that matter. And it is only subsequently, over a period of time, when there is the push of education, the thrust of taking up careers in order to be at par with the other half of the population, when women started invading or getting into those spaces. So the whole idea of this, one of the aspects, I would say, of sexual harassment is uh, that therefore the fact of women being specifically made targets by their male counterparts who outnumbered them. So let us say in a workforce there are 50 people. Out of that, probably 45 of them are males. Now you have 5 here who are females and who are comparatively newer into the entire in the entire workforce, etc., who come in, and they become the subject of sneers, jeers, comments, physical advances of their male counterparts. So that is the basis on which this whole idea of the sexual harassment came into the picture. And if you specifically ask that why only protection of women, I am very clearly of the view that the law should be made gender neutral. There is nothing to have it as only specifically protecting the women. So it should be gender neutral in terms of the victims. So whether it's male, females, it should apply equally. But as of now, what we have is, therefore the protection is given to women primarily, and that is what also statistics show, that compared to number of men, which obviously at least the Indian statistics do not have, but individual instances which are there and which have come up, etc., go to show that you can take it as 90 to 95% of the cases are targeting women and girls. So as compared to, you definitely have what I told in the very beginning, you definitely have a situation while where men can also be victims. But please understand that if we are to look into facts and figures, the majority victims of this particular act or crime, for that matter, are women and girls who have entered or joined the workforce. And that is precisely the reason why the law is gender specific. And unless there are definitely changes which are made over a period of time, that is how that is what we are. But yes, there are cases in America also, there are cases where compensation has been given to men because of sexual harassment committed against him by a female superior. So that's very well there. But in India, obviously, you have issue with that, uh, where you have to take resort to probably other provisions of law in order to get justice in the process, if at all. So that is there. uh, the next question is, how can I as an individual contribute to women's empowerment, safety and dignity? That is an interesting question. How can we see, every individual has a role to play, as maybe as an individual itself, as a part of the family, as a part of a particular community, society. Every individual definitely can play a meaningful role. So how can you do it? That essentially you have to find out. But if we just look around ourselves, every day, at every point of time, in something or the other, you will feel the perpetration of that inequality all around you, right? Like this is a COVID situation that we are all in. So most of us are confined within our homes, and you will definitely find maybe there are males and females all living together in the household, but generally you may find your mother and your sister. I don't know your exact position or status, in terms of the family, but you will find your mother and sister probably working out in the kitchen whole day, doing all the household work. So if you want to start there, you have to start there itself. So what have you contributed to in this entire domestic work, in order to do away with the existent gaps? Because please remember, that is also a perpetration of the gender bias which is there, that household work is a woman's job. Cleaning, cleaning, cooking, all these is to better done by women, even though we may not consciously really think of it in that manner, but somewhere or the other, it is sort of a inherent coming in us. So therefore, how many times have you really joined them? How many times have you told them, maybe if someone has a sister, that okay, you go and study or you go and do your work, I can do the work which is required in the home during this point of time. So that is at the level of the family. In and around the society, maybe in your if somebody is a student, the person is a student who has put the question. If you are a student, so in the college or the university that the person is, there are many forms or different notions in which which are existent, and which are prevailing all across the or if you are just conscious of it, you will find that there are subtle things which are existing, and which sometime further uh, uh, strengthen that element of gender injustice which is existent, right? So if you can identify those acts, those discussions many times that we see, because we are also teachers dealing with students, that many times the students in their discussions, in the way they speak about particular events in society, they you find them that they are further strengthening not the justice process, but further strengthening their beliefs that this is right for a woman, this is not right for a woman. So you can really intervene if you want to think that you can do. You can really intervene, you can raise awareness, you can hold maybe workshops within your community. You can see that how the rights of women are better protected, and you can just undertake sort of just, voluntary studies, how many girl children are employed in the houses of the people who are known to you. So there are different ways by which you can contribute in the entire process of women's empowerment. And obviously a good way is advocacy, where you can speak of the rights of women. You can help out those women who have faced different issues. Something very common, I would say, is domestic violence issues. Every house, many houses are affected by that. Give help to those women. Even though you may not have a legal background, you can always go out, reach out, try to give access to the woman in terms of the legal help that she may have. So, and in the process, try to empower them. So definitely, it's the question is a very good and interesting question, and I think we all have our roles in one way or the other in strengthening the position of women in the society as a whole, as also safety and dignity. So if you see any sort of injustice being perpetrated, whether in a local transport, whether in the road, whether anywhere, try to protest. Try to see that it is not silenced in any way. So therefore, go out of your way and try to help out a person in need. And if it is a woman specifically, please remember that the person is doubly disadvantaged, right? One, because of the position or situation, and second is because of the fact of being a woman. So therefore there are additional barriers for her in reaching out to the legal system, reaching out to the facilities which are there, the resources which are there. So if you can be a facilitator, please be that. So that would be really welcome on your part, or on the part of all individuals in society. So that is there. And another question which I have before me, it is a big question, is why some women, those who are living in middle class family and in villages, couldn't raise their voice? Why system unable to work properly? There are so many acts regarding safety. I'm a girl, basically not safe in my home, around my relatives. Why these things are making me feel so depressed? Okay, so there are a lot of different concerns that I see. The last one, I don't know whether it's you, when you are speaking of I, you are referring to yourself or it's a general reference. But one thing is very important. As a girl, as a woman, you must know how to speak of your rights. That is something is which is very, very important. Right is in our inherent existence as a human being. Nobody grants us rights. That is inherent in our very existence. So please speak for your rights. Any violence or anything which tends to violate any of the rights of a person, it's very important to speak out. To suffer in silence, to remain quiet in the whole setup of things, only strengthens the other side. So therefore that is not at all appreciated in any way. But even saying that, everybody is not so privileged, maybe as I am, or maybe as many of you are, because as you are referring to, whether in a village situation or in many rural India, other places, you definitely find it difficult for a girl to raise her voice, because from the very beginning she is made to understand that her voice, or her desires, her wants, her wishes are unimportant in the entire scheme of things. That she must, that very feeling of subjugation is imbibed in the person from the very beginning. So that is a sad state of affairs, that where many girls and women, even in the worst of plight, find it very difficult. And the system of control, the system of patriarchy is so strong that it somewhere stifles the voice, which tries to mm, um, go through that. And therefore it becomes very difficult for many women and many girls to really, in spite of being in lot of exploitative situations, difficult situations, to really raise the voice. One thing is probably education can bring a lot of change, but I agree for many of that, many of the girls, probably that education is also a luxury. Now in those situations, what is the way out? There the government has to play a very, very proactive and prominent role. So like schemes, I'm not going into how successful it is, bad it is, or whatever, like beti bachao beti padhao, these type of schemes can go a long way in actually somewhere the basic situations, things which are there, hitting at that. If the government can take it seriously, and they intend to bring about a change, this type of schemes can really bring about a whole lot of difference in the way in which things are really looked at. So because when we understand that when we are confronted with the girl, even before birth, the threat is there to her life. It is there even before she is born. So it may be a simple case of killing the child in the womb, because the child is a girl child. So and obviously you cannot expect, you do not have that child or that unborn child to do anything about it. So therefore, if you can have specific interventions on the part of the government where they address that specific issue, and there are some success stories, I understand, having read in newspapers and other places, that there were villages where for probably for the last many years, decades, no girl child was born, but under after this scheme and after this the specifically targeting, where if a girl child is born, there is a specific a benefit which is given to the family, and whatever other things are there, that after many years now you see, you are gradually the village is witnessing a change, and there are now girls who are being born in that village. So that is how the first steps have to be taken, and thereafter interventions at every level to ensure that the girls are educated. There must be special incentives whereby they continue with their education. Marriage is not the goal and end all of life, so they continue their education even in different courses, professional courses, for that purpose. When it comes to girls specifically, there should be benefits which are given. There should be some specific advantages, because you have to somewhere first pull up the group. Please understand, it may not be true for all women. It may not be true, it was never true for me, because naturally as a part of the family, that education had to be given irrespective of the child being a boy or girl. But there are specific sections of society which require this type of interventions which are there. And then what is very important is, apart from that education, apart from giving that career, changing, because that has to more do with the that law cannot do, but the at a social level, creating that awareness amongst the people in the society, that that they are valued members of the society, ensuring that their rights are protected at all level, engaging with the people, maybe their parents, their relatives, and everybody in the community, as to there is a change in perspective. These biases, these prejudices which are there, if that can be addressed, probably that will go a long way in helping women in the long run. See, it's not a matter of one day or 1 month or 1 year's job. This has happened over years and years together. So therefore you require time, you require a lot of intervention and very active involvement of all sections of people in the process, if there has to be a change in this entire situation. How to ensure the safety? There definitely, now why even in spite of all the laws, one of your concerns is why even then the system does not work. Unfortunately, in our country, we have made a lot of laws, but what we say, I say, my by training I am a law person, the implementation of those laws are very poor. So that is a sad state of things. I do not say in every situation, but in most situations you will find that the authorities, the various institutions which have been established, that probably fails to live up to the philosophy and purpose for which it was established, and that is where the entire thing is defeated. Just as an example, I will give the Sexual Harassment Act, which requires employers to take a very proactive role in ensuring the safety and security of women at the workplace. Unfortunately, if you see the things how it is, you will find that there is no real change which has happened, because in spite of the law giving direction what should be the ICC, the constitution of the internal complaints committee, how they should work, how soon the report has to be given, a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, even of the government, you will find is widely flouting that, right? There is no monitoring of how it is going on, but just on the face of it, they submit a report, okay, we got 10 complaints and this is how it is looked into. So from the procedure which is established, from the constitution of the committee which is established, just as an example, like the independent member who is supposed to be, a watchdog of whether the committee is functioning properly or not functioning properly. Many times, you will find, somebody unconnected with the entire issue made a part, so that the person is not even able to understand how the committee should function, what the committee should do. And that is where the basic problem happens. So when you are speaking of the safety and security, from my part, I have seen and I strongly believe that the problem is at the level of implementation. We have laws, we have good laws, and if it is implemented in a good way, it can really bring about a lot of difference. Unfortunately, that is what fails us. So even if I say in case of violence, if it is the police, even the police fail us at different points of time. We're not registering a case, then meting out further harassment so far as the victim is concerned, so on and so forth. Many of you might have read in many instances in the newspapers. So therefore, that is where probably the issue of safety gets compromised. And on the part that you have said that I feel very depressed, etc., please do not try to contact people. There are a lot of NGOs, lot of institutions which are working for the empowerment of women. So get in touch with them. If your single voice cannot make a difference, a collective voice can definitely make a lot of difference in the whole scheme of things. So try to get in touch with people, speak out. That's very important. And there is nothing to say that, okay, if the violence is from a family member or relative, it is not the responsibility of the girl of the family to maintain. There is nothing of honor there, right? It's dishonorable. So let it be accepted as such, and let the person speak out in this entire scheme. So if individually you cannot do, try to get in touch with people. There are a lot of people around. If you simply, now you have the internet, if you simply see, there are a lot of people around. So nothing to get depressed, but it is a fight, and the fight, you have to get together with others and see that how the protection and the safety of people can be ensured in the entire process. So that is what I would suggest to you. And that is all the question that I have before me presently. And I think my time is also is not there. That is what. And I would be whatever further questions, you can definitely put it in the the NPTEL SWAYAM discussion forum which is there. So we will try to address your the different queries and questions which are there. And I hope I have been able to answer some of the questions, or most of the questions does not have a straight answer. But I have been at least been able to highlight the concerns which are inherent in the course itself, and make you to get a feel of what you are expected to have, what you are expected to understand and appreciate once you complete the course. So that is all from my side. Thank you very much, and I hope it has been a helpful session for all of you. Thank you.